Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rebecca, and if not, thanks for joining me again. Today we'll be doing a pumpkin recipe where we do a little mashup where we make pumpkin pecan pie bars. So we'll have the flavors of a pumpkin pie and a pecan pie rolled into a delicious little bar. This would make a really nice dessert or a sweet treat for Thanksgiving or a fall gathering or just because. So let's head to the kitchen and put together our pumpkin pecan pie bars. So the first thing that we need to do for making our pumpkin pecan pie bars is to create our crust. So in this bowl I have 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of brown sugar. So I'm just going to mix those ingredients together here. Next, I'll add 1 cup of pecans, and I pulse them in my little mini food processor. This works really well for smaller items such as this. And I made it a nice fine chop. We have nice small pieces of pecans in here. So I'll mix the nuts in through our flour and brown sugar. And next we will add 3/4 of a cup of butter, and this is cold butter that I coarsely chopped into pieces, and 3/4 of a cup ends up being a stick and a half. And I'm going to use my pastry cutter here, and I'm going to cut this butter into our flour and pecans and brown sugar until we get a nice small size piece of butter throughout this whole mixture. If you didn't want to do this by hand, or if you didn't have a hand pastry cutter such as this one, you could also use a food processor and just pulse this mixture in the food processor until you got some really nice small pieces of butter throughout. There we go. Nice small pieces of butter throughout. Now I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of water, and that's just to help get this crust mixture to bind together nicely. Now I'm going to take 1.5 cups of this crust mixture that we created with the flour and brown sugar and butter and pecans and a little bit of water. Take 1.5 cups of that and set that aside, and we'll use that later for a topping. Now we're going to put the rest of this into a 9x13 pan. We'll press this down, and this will become the crust for our pumpkin pecan pie bars. Alright, so I have the crust all pressed down in the bottom of this 9x13 pan, and I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now I'm going to bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's lightly golden brown. Alright, our crust has finished baking. It took about 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and it just has a lightly golden brown color to it. So now I'm going to let this cool slightly, and we'll work on making the filling and topping so we can assemble our bars. Alright, so a really quick way to bring together our filling is to use the KitchenAid stand mixer. So I have my flex edge attachment here, and to the mixing bowl I'm going to add 1 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. And this is the unsweetened 100% pumpkin, It is not the pumpkin pie canned filling that you can purchase at the store. It's just the pumpkin puree. If you can your own pumpkin, you can just use a pint. That would be perfectly fine. Next, I'll add one 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And 2 eggs that have been lightly beaten. So I'll lower this down and just mix these ingredients until they're well combined. There we go. Then I'll add 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So I'll lower this down and we'll mix to combine these ingredients as well. And there we go. Here we have our pumpkin pecan pie bar filling. So I'll bring this over to the crust. We can make the topping and assemble our bars. Okay, now let's work on making our topping. So we reserved 1.5 cups of our crust mixture. So I have that in this bowl. To that, I will add a 1/2 cup of oatmeal. This is old-fashioned oatmeal. And a 1/2 cup of pecans that I coarsely chopped with my mini food processor. And a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. We'll mix all of these ingredients together. And just to help bind the oatmeal in this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter. All right, now let's pour our pumpkin pecan pie bar filling into our prepared crust. I'm just going to spread that filling so it covers and reaches all of the corners of the crust. And now I'm going to take our topping that we created and just dollop it over the top of the filling. Alright, so the oven is still heated to 350 degrees, so now I'm going to put the bars into the oven and bake for about 30 to 40 minutes or until it's nicely golden brown and cooked through. Alright, our pumpkin pecan pie bars have finished baking. It took 40 minutes at 350 degrees and they have a nice golden brown color on the top and they're cooked through. A toothpick came out nice and clean. So you can definitely smell the pumpkin, but you can also smell a nice caramel aroma, and that will give us the pecan pie flavor that we're looking for. So now what I'm going to do is let these cool completely, and then I'll cut them and we can give them a taste. All right, here we have our pumpkin pecan pie bars. They baked up beautifully. There's a pumpkin and caramel type of scent to this, and as I cut them, I can tell that there's a nice caramel texture to it as well. So you have the creamy pumpkin pie with the caramely pecan pie flavors and the crispy pecan and oat topping. So let's have a taste. This is a really delicious bar with a mashup of the 2 classic pies that you'll find on Thanksgiving or during the fall. This would be a wonderful sweet treat during the fall season, at gatherings, or even at Thanksgiving. And this year, instead of doing a traditional pumpkin pie, I'm doing a number of pumpkin-themed sweet treats and desserts for people to choose and pick from for their dessert. So if you'd like more inspiration on other recipes and ideas using pumpkin or fall themed items, you can check out my recipes in the kitchen playlist, as well as a more specific sweet treats playlist if you're into that type of recipe. Well, if you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate you subscribing. If you enjoyed this or any other videos that you watch, please give them a thumbs up. I hope you're having a really great day and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. See you next time. Take care.